Alright, then welcome to another live stream where I paint a few layers on some candle glasses that I've started a while ago. And there's just some evening work that I wanted to get done, and so I thought I'd invite you back in. And this candle is a little bit of an experiment. It's a bit different than others I've done, and so I thought that now I wanted to connect the bottom and the top. So just to create some stems so that you get the feeling that you're actually inside of this forest without just things floating on top with nothing actually going on. And I hope that'll actually look good because I've never done this particular kind before. So all of these, I haven't really developed them beforehand. They are just works in progress. And Phantasmus says, very beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope this will look alright. And it's kind of an exciting new way of doing this. And I thought it's time to make some different designs and to try something different. I've been doing this for about a year now with candle glasses, and so a lot of my original ideas have already been done. So now I wanted to branch out, and in this light you can't see it, but a lot of these leaves are actually bronze. So there are different kinds of colors and layers that have been done here. So we'll just see how this goes. It's quite an intuitive process, and I have no clear plan. I just start painting. This is now about the fourth layer, I think. So first the background has been done, and then it's been burnt in the kiln once, and then the leaves were done, and so on. And someone says hello from Croatia. Hi, well, welcome. It's always nice to have people from all around the world joining. And I've really been enjoying these live streams, and so I've been continuing them. And the wonderful thing is that people really are from all over the world. And we can create this little space here where it's possible to just, so just feel free to ask questions, to talk, chat with each other, and we can just have a little evening here of some painting. And feel free to grab your own painting kit if you wish, and join in. So, as I've been saying, this is, I'm just really trying out some stuff and looking. So calming and creative. Can't wait to create something this weekend. What are you going to create? I would love to know. Creation in any matter is always a wonderful thing. And hi from London. Wonderful. Yes, we're already expanding our world here. That is brilliant. I would love to hear what you're going to create. Let's see here. I would like this to be very detailed. So I think apart from just the tree stems, I'll make some plants here too, so that you really get the feeling of being into the forest. I just know how to draw. Drawing is brilliant. Don't have to say just. I remember I had a long time where I only drew. And even just with a pencil, you don't have to have any colors even. You can just do anything. That's wonderful. That's the way that I actually learn different plants and trees and so on, is because I don't paint from pictures, I draw. Hello from Greece. You are indeed doing a great job, Joachim. Thank you so much, and hello to you, and welcome to this little live stream here. Greece. Okay, so our world is expanding and expanding. That is great. Let's see. Yes, I wanted to get this feeling that you're really deep in the woods. But I'm just going to do the stems, and then the details will come. The candle light looking like an African sunset, although I've never been in Africa. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's those different the color scheme. Yeah, that's what I said at the beginning here at the outset, that it's quite different than I've done so far, and the colors that I've chosen are a bit different. I always like that. If something new can happen and come out of this, that's always a very good thing. And I always get much more inspired when I can see that something new is being created. Sadly, I have never been to Africa myself, and I have no idea what kind of plants I would plant there for that. I would love to visit it though. I mean, it's a continent, obviously, but to see just very different kind of forests and trees than the ones we have here. So let's see, just has some. Well, the trick here will be to make it somewhat natural, because the stems here are obviously a lot smaller than you'd think for the leaves, but I think they could just be in the background a bit further away, and then we'll get the impression that the leaves are actually coming towards us. So I think that'll work. And Animal Stones just joined us. You're very welcome back. Animal Stones is one of my most trusted and followers on this live stream that has now been going on for, I think, a week. Yeah, and as you can see, I got myself a new phone to do this on, so I can actually have a bit of a wider lens and we can actually see a bit more. This is why I finally got to. Hello from Animal Stones. Hello to you and welcome. So yeah, I can now show a bit more and I can have a few more things actually in here. And that's going to be nice for the streams where I paint oil paintings and so on, so that I can actually show you a bit more. And yes, so this weekend we are actually going to do a small launch, just some of these candle glasses. Så fantastiskt att se kreativitet in the making. Hi from Denmark. Hi to Denmark. For those of you who didn't understand, wonderful to see creativity in the making. So Denmark, one of the Scandinavian buddies of Norway, and we speak quite a similar language, and especially the written form is quite easy to understand. Yeah, I've really enjoyed the live streams and the fact that it really feels like there's a community, and it's just a nice time. It's nice to be able to invite everyone into my world, and in such an informal way. It makes it quite safe and wonderful to do. So let's see if we can get. I always like that with glass painting, is that you can just do one brush stroke and you get a lot of the shadows and the bark and the texture into it right away. But then of course if you go back into it, you'll destroy it. So I'll just leave it like this. We are just missing the fjords and the mountains. Yet yeah, so quite a lot of similarities. Quite a few differences. That's very true. Denmark is very flat, and if there's something Norway isn't, it's flat. But the languages and quite a bit of the culture is similar. we lack a lot of the culture, so you got more of that. Let's see here. Yes, I'm just going to go quite quickly around and paint all of the stems, and then to do some of the foliage. But I think there are going to be quite a few more glasses before the evening's over. Because of all of these glasses, I can always just do one layer. And then, as those of you who know my live stream by now keep hearing, because I keep repeating it, but not everyone knows this, is that this is going to be burned in a kiln. And once it's been burned, it goes entirely, it fuses with the glass, and then I can paint on top of it again. My dream is to go back to Norway one day. I lived in Ålesund for a year, a long time ago. I miss it a lot. All right, Ålesund. I've actually never been to Ålesund. That's lovely. Yeah, I think that's one of the things often when people have come to Norway, it's difficult to find that somewhere else. And they often come back, so that's lovely. I still have so many places in Norway to visit. I know Norway by now because we've been driving around in a camper van, so I know the eastern parts, southeastern parts of Norway very well. But the western and northern parts, I almost don't know at all. Norway is such a long country that there's a lot of it that I still haven't seen myself. And so we do have to make some more trips, especially in more the northern parts, but towards the fjords too. I haven't seen a lot of that. And yeah, to everyone who's joining, you can all ask anything you want to, talk about anything you want to, and just feel free. or just observe and grab yourself a tea. I just had mine. And now the question is if this should be even a thicker canopy. I'm not entirely sure about that. So what I like to do is I like to use this. This you can see, this is actually just a shadow. So from the candle. But I like to use that shadow because most people will probably use quite similar candle glasses in these glasses. So as to not make it kind of ruin the picture, I will use that shadow in the painting. So I'll just use it as my line here, the foreground. And then it just becomes a natural part of the painting and it's not going to be a problem. The only thing is, of course, if people use a completely different kind of candle, but I suppose everyone can figure that out for themselves. And yes, you can see there are lots of different kinds of leaves here, but the stems, I'm not going to do the stems actually truly to the leaves because what I am imagining is that it's not entirely connected. Hello from Janine Mavis. Hello to you. Welcome back. Janine is also one of those that have been joining me quite a lot for these live streams, which is wonderful. I really like the fact that there are, even now, already some regulars. And we're starting to get to know one another here. I just put one of these, it's not uploaded yet, but I put one of these on YouTube, but I'm not really sure if people are actually going to watch 2 hours of me sitting and talking and painting. But it can just be there and we can see what happens. Let's see. Maybe we'll do a wonderful glass. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, as I've been saying, it's a bit of a new design for me. And I've been wanting to try out some different things. Different things, I mean, they all look very much in the same style. And I should probably at some point branch out a lot more. But I take these things very slowly. I found you from Lena's channel, and I'm amazed by you too. You're a true inspiration. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people find me from Lena's channel. She is a lot bigger than I am. And that's wonderful. I really love Lena's videos, and I'm so glad that people can take inspiration from them. And yeah, it's really been a gift to hear how much inspiration people take from them and to get all of their reaction. That's really wonderful. And is this a smaller size candle glass? Yes, it is. So the bigger ones, this is a bit difficult because I'm using an ultra wide lens, which just distorts it a bit. But the larger candle glasses are like this. So there are 2 sizes now because I wanted to have some variation, and yeah, this is a smaller one. Because I would have wanted to offer some different sizes, and it's actually been really nice to have something different to paint on, because it does make a difference as to how I how I execute the landscape and the sizes, because here obviously everything is a lot more cramped. Is kind of it's not really the right word, but you get more of a focus on the details, and so you'll often see that the landscapes are going to be somewhat different from the small candle glasses to the bigger pieces. And I can get a bit closer here, and I can focus more on some of the small detail work, because sometimes with the bigger candle glasses, if I start with an enormous amount of branches and so on, it just takes me forever to finish it. While here, I can just keep the focus. The only thing is that the horizon with the shadow here is a lot higher. So on all of these small candle glasses, I've been using a lot of black to get rid of that shadow here, so that it doesn't disturb it as much, and it gets to be a natural part of the painting. Because while it is a fantasy landscape, and of course it doesn't look photorealistic, I'm not painting from a photo, I don't like too many things that remind you that it's not real, if that makes any sense. And so I like to hide all of the traces of something else. Alright, we've gone around once. And now I think we can start doing the detail work. Well, the undergrowth. So here I'm just going to do exactly the same. I'm just going to start with some lines and then see how it goes. Do you save these streams? Yes, I do. I save them on Instagram TV. I don't have a following there, so no one is really going to see them. But if you want to see them again, you can go onto my Instagram TV channel, and there I save them. I'm going to upload some of them if I really like them onto YouTube too, but the easiest way will just be to watch them on Instagram TV. That's also the reason why I read your questions out loud, because you're not going to see the chat afterwards. So if anyone says anything, I will then read it out loud, so that if people watch it over again or watch it for the first time there, they will have a clue of what's going on. Otherwise, I'm just answering questions that you have no idea were. So that's why I started to do that. Yeah. So I'm still learning how to do this, and it's been a little bit of a learning curve, but I thought that might be a nice way of doing it. And I figured that it's a lot less work than I thought to just repeat the question once they come in. So the nice thing here too, once it dries, I can't really do anything, but here, when it's still like this, I can highlight it really nicely. Is glass your most favorite material to paint on, or do you also like the same to paint on wood, canvas, etc.? Well, I have to say my favorite is still oil. I've just been doing it for so much longer, and I have quite a lot more freedom. I do love glass, and it's been amazing to paint on something that has a natural light source. And I'm noticing the more I'm painting on glass, the more I like it. But I am still quite partial to oil painting on a canvas, just because it feels a lot easier. Once I've been painting on glasses for a while, like I have now for like 2 weeks, when I then go back to oil painting, it always feels like coming home. It is so much easier. You have so many more options, and it's just what I've been doing for such a long time that it's still, I think, my favorite medium, although it is slowly but surely merging at the very least with this. So I think, yeah, it's probably oil, glass, wood, porcelain. Yeah, so porcelain is kind of the same like glass. The thing is that you don't have a natural light source, and I can still not really paint in a sun in the same way that I can with oil. I really like the tree canopy effect on this one. Yeah, that's wonderful that you're saying that. That's exactly the feeling that I wanted to create. The feeling of actually being underneath and being into the forest. Me too. Great. I'm so happy that you guys like it. It is a bit of a new experiment. I've done something similar, but not quite like this. What about a watercolor? Do you like it? Well, I never actually paint with watercolor. I think I've tried it 20 years ago once. I have been a bit curious about it, especially for sketching. But I can't really say too much about it because I don't really paint with watercolor. The ones I mentioned are actually the only things I do. It could be interesting. I think it's very different than the way I paint. But I'm curious about it, and I think I would like to try it sometime soon. But yeah, I'm very much specialized in what I'm doing. So outside of my little world, there are just a lot of things that I still haven't really tried. I know a lot of oil painters sketch with watercolors, but since I don't sit outside in nature and sketch the things that I will paint later, I don't do that. I have never started. But yeah, so I don't know if I like it. I will have to try it out. And it does have some wonderful effects, and I'm sure that you can, with this, because I've seen videos and I've seen people paint like that. It does seem quite lovely, the way that the colors can merge, and you can use the patterns and the shapes and so on. But of course, if you use a lot of turpentine when you paint with oil, you get a somewhat similar effect. On paper, that is. Janine says, I started with watercolors years ago and was afraid of acrylic, but now I love it. It's a completely different method. Yeah, I would imagine that it is. Yeah, I would, especially just because of the way it behaves, the way the color behaves. So I will have to try that out. And I think it would be very practical if you're outside and you're actually on a hike or something. I do try to paint outside in the summer, but with oil, there's just such a huge amount of setup, and you have to have all the colors, and you have to have the oil with you, and you can't just throw it out afterwards. I'm not sure if you can do that with watercolor either, but at least it's water. Nice job. Thank you. I appreciate that. And now we're working on the undergrowth. And once that's done, I think we will move on to the next painting, the next glass. I love acrylic paints. Yeah, acrylic is it's different again, isn't it? I'm not entirely sure. Watercolor and acrylic can be still quite a lot more similar to oil. If I'm not mistaken, it just dries incredibly fast, which then opens up different avenues. I think everything has its pluses and minuses. You should do a lot of voiceover with Lena. Both of you have such calming voices. Also, being a Scandinavian, isn't it weird receiving compliments? Yeah, yeah, we are all a bit more on the quiet side. That's true. It's very much appreciated, though. We will actually be doing a Q&A at some point, and then we will be talking together. I like the way you paint with the light of the candle. When the candle is turned, the candlelight is enhanced by what you have painted. Maybe that doesn't make sense. No, it does. It absolutely does. I love that myself. That's one of the reasons I really do like painting on candles and painting on glass, is that natural light source. It's really lovely. And yeah, it's nice of you to say, back to the comment before that we have calming voices. I appreciate that. It's been quite a hurdle to speak. I really had problems hearing myself talk. It's always strange in the beginning, but I've gotten enough nice feedback now that I dare do it a bit more. And I think even Scandinavians do like compliments. It's just more difficult to show. So let's see. A lot of the plants that I'm doing now, well, all of them I have learned before, and then I kind of improvise as well. So they're based on actual plants, and I've learned most of the details. But I do give myself quite a bit of license, unless it's incredibly close, and I would like you to recognize exactly what I'm doing. I only follow it to a certain extent, the rules of the different plants that I've learned. So I will usually follow the things like patterns, and I would usually follow the things that so that it's possible that plant could really be possible. So a branch won't suddenly won't have different branches or different leaves, but it could be different than the original tree. Some of your works are like the great Vladimir Kush arts. I don't know those arts. I will have to look them up. But I assume that they are nice. I'm gonna take that as a compliment, and I will have to look them up. Vladimir, are those like the old Russian masters, or I really will have to look them up. I have no idea. In Röros there once was a farm, the owners imbued with its charm, where the horses ran free near the silver birch tree, and the white dog was ever so calm. That is lovely. We love Röros, and hopefully that is exactly how our farm will be. That might even be how where that's from. That's a lovely poem. What do you do if you paint something on the glass you think is probably in the wrong place? How do you fix lines and streaks you don't like? Well, to a certain extent, like if I do that, I can very easily, because all of the other things here are burned and I can just remove it. But if I did something here, then I would use it. So, well, let's see, if I did something like this and this was already painted, then all right, let's see, we can then decide, all right, I think this is a branch and this might just be a leaf, and we'll just do something like this, and then the mistake is hidden. So usually if there's a mistake I can't do anything about without ruining the painting, I will incorporate it. That's the great thing with not actually having something you're painting after. So I'm not painting after a photo, or I'm not painting after anything, which means that I have completely free license to do whatever I like if there's a mistake, and I will just incorporate it into whatever I'm doing. So with glass painting, the mistakes, you can usually correct them quite easily, and you can just get it off because everything that's behind there is burned in. But once you burn it, and if you didn't notice the mistake beforehand, of course, that's going to be incredibly permanent, and you're just going to have to do the best you can and either try to hide it or just create something out of it. And usually you can do something. It has to be quite an egregious mistake for it not to be possible to merge it somehow into the painting. I have to go back to that Röros poem. That was wonderful. Is that actually based on our dream of having a farm, or do you live in Röros or have a connection there? Because that is the area where we would like to have a farm with horses and a dog running free. We really looking forward to our dog being a farm dog finally, because he would love to be more out and have more of a place to call his own and so on. So in a few weeks we are going to start driving upwards into the eastern parts of Norway and look for our farm. We have found an area we would like to live in, and we are willing to live somewhere that is quite run down, and we really hope to find something this summer. Let's see if there are any particular plants we would like to plant here. Not entirely sure. What I do like to have, and I repeat this quite often, is such a variety that you can always look at the glass and discover something new even after a long time. So I try not to repeat myself too much. Exciting. Yes, we very much think it is. And we were already last summer, we drove around for about a month looking at different places, but now we have found a bit of a different area. And it's an incredibly remote area, one of the more remote ones in Norway. A lot of people have left, which we think is a good thing, because then we can move in and we can take our jobs with us and we can just find something that's a bit secluded and create our own little haven. So I'm hoping that these glasses can be turned into a farm and horses and a garden and a greenhouse and so on. Leave people. Well, they all want to live in the city, so we can just switch places. A lot of these areas, they don't really have any jobs, so a lot of people have to leave. Actually, it's quite a sad story. And I mean, most young people nowadays really do want to live in the city. So I think they've lost half of their people actually. That commune, the commune, that sounds very wrong in English. It's just a county. They're called communes in in Norwegian. They are very, very excited to have new people move in, and that's the way all over the rural parts of Norway and Sweden too. That people are leaving in droves, which we find very strange because we very much would like to live in a place out in nowhere. See, we're actually almost gone around here once. I'm trying to think of different plants that we haven't painted in yet. I got a few photos sent to me from different plants, but I haven't learned them yet, so I can't paint them in here. Because as I keep harping on about, but there are new people joining, and so I'm just going to repeat myself in these live streams. If people get sick of it, you do have to tell me. But I don't paint from pictures, and so if I'm going to paint something new, I have to learn it first. And I haven't learned any new plants or leaves in a while. So I just have to draw on the things that I have learned so far. And of course, there are always more things that you've learned often than you can remember. So I'm desperately trying to figure out if there are different shapes and things that I have not been painting in a while to make it all a bit more interesting. Especially these paintings that are so monotone, to just have a few colors. I really like the details to be interesting enough. Because this is not in any way, shape, or form an abstract painting. I like the shapes to kind of to be interesting so that you can always look closer. And I have to decide what to paint on after this. I have quite a lot of different projects. If it's going to be winter or spring, or maybe I will do one of the glasses that I started the last live stream. That might be fun. That's one of the more challenging ones, because one of the people that was in the live stream, in the middle of it, I decided to ask if someone had any opinions how I was going to go on. And he said it would be wonderful with a waterfall in it, which was quite a challenge because there was no space for the waterfall, but I put it in there, and now it's been burnt once. So now I can continue painting it and see how it turns out. And I think maybe we'll continue work on that one and see if I can do something with it. All right, now we've gone around here once, and the thing that you'll see me do now is just to, you won't really see much, but I just have to run a brush along the bottom to even out the black. So that we're not going to get any bumps and so on. So I'm just going to even that out. And then I just have to wipe off the top. Ah, yes, you were there on the last one. Excited about that one, Janine says. And yeah, we're definitely going to do that one. So, and I need to wipe off the top, because once these are done, I paint the bottom too. But you always have to have some place where there's no paint, otherwise you ruin the glass once it's in the kiln. And then I flip them on their head. And so I need the top to be completely smooth. And there can't be any paint there. All right, let's see. So we've done this one. And now you can see how it is without the candle. All right, so we're going to get rid of this one. I'm just going to put it aside. And yeah, so this is going to be quite a challenge. But that's not a bad thing. Let's see if I have... There we are. All right. All right, I have to see. So as you can see, this is a very disjointed candle, and I have to try to get these areas together. So it's very close. We decided yesterday that it should be spring. And then there were lots of different things going on. So there's a rhododendron here, there's a birch, and there's the waterfall. And I think we will just start here, and I'll just add some more details onto it. I think we'll get everything a bit closer. And we'll just go from there and see how it goes. So the thing to do now is to add a bit more shadow. So we have all of the light. And I think instead of just adding onto the leaves that are there, we're just going to do it a bit more three-dimensional. The sun is in the middle. The candle is our light source. And then anything that's going to go closer to us is going to be a bit darker. So we're just going to go with that idea and paint things in our direction, basically. So I'm just going to have to create some different paints here. And the paints that I use are these little, that's why I put these here, these little, it's powder. And I then have to mix them out. I'm just gonna find my colors. And while I'm gonna do some darker colors, I don't want to ruin the spring feeling. So I think you'll see me try a lot of different things because this is a very different kind of painting than I usually do, because there are a lot more different kind of details and so on, and I've been quite monotonous in my candles so far. So this is going to be a bit of a trial and error, I think. So let's see here. Alright, I have some kind of color. We'll see if that's the right one. And then we'll just get the leaves that are going... So a lot of the things that I'm going to paint now, it's going to be a bit more of a contrast to it once it's been in the kiln once. We have faith in you. Well, that's good. I hope that isn't misplaced. And I mean, we can do some of the shadows on the leaves, even though I said I wasn't going to do that. And yeah, we're just going to have to see. That's a lot of... Since I don't really have a plan, Animal Stones gives me the thumbs up. All right. I'm going to take that as encouragement and hope that this is going to go all right. So... yeah, since I don't really have a plan on how these things go, there are often stages in a painting like this where I just have no idea. Sometimes I'll just leave them for a month too, because I don't know what to do, and then at some point I'll look at it and say, oh, okay, I know what, and then I can start. I was holding my breath until the first stroke. It looks amazing. Thank you. Alright, let's see. You can do it. Alright then. This is all very encouraging, and so, all right, we can do it. Let's see. Yeah, and I think, as you can see, as I was talking about last time too, this shadow here is from the candle, and that's always going to be there whenever the candle is on. And so we're going to use that as the foreground, as the line for the foreground. So I'm going to do some brown there, and have that be the foreground. So I think that could be some small stones and so on. This isn't going to be the last layer of any stretch of the imagination. There are probably going to be a few more. So the things that we are doing now are not going to be the last of it. So you can imagine that there are going to be stages and layers on top of whatever I paint now. So about at the line of the candle, that's never going to be exactly, because it depends on how big the candle is and how much is burned down and so on. But it'll usually be approximately here. I'll put down this line so that I know where the different kinds of things and plants are going to come from, and then we get some more depth too, which is always nice. And then, as you can see, that this line, which was just kind of annoying now, is actually a proper line. And I really like that. Okay, let's see here. And I think in this one, since it's spring, it might be nice to put some gold in it at some point, but not at this stage. And this is a problem. You can see it, right? What's happening here? If I paint too thick, this is always a challenge with glass painting, is that you get this, it starts to run. So I have to be a bit careful. It can't be too thick. Because as opposed to a canvas or on paper, and especially if you think about watercolor, it doesn't actually go into the painting at all. It just stays on top of it, and you're just moving paint around. That's really what makes this so incredibly different than most other forms of painting. It's the fact that it doesn't go into your canvas at all. It just stays completely on top, and yeah, you're just moving it around. That's another reason why I have to paint in a lot of layers, because even if you wanted to be very thick and to get a good contrast, you just can't. because the thicker you paint, the worse it's going to run. And so you just have to be patient and realize, okay, if I want this to be entirely black, I then have to paint 2 or 3 layers, and I just have to imagine that it's going to be black at some point. And that's the reason why you actually have to, even though I do this in a way on instinct and I just paint, you always have to think about how it's going to look a few stages ahead. So I can't really do too much here. I just want to do the lines and get it to be a bit more three-dimensional. And yeah, I think there are going to be lots and lots of layers on this, especially the times that I do something for the first time. I spend a lot more time on it, obviously, but I spend a lot more layers on it. And then once I know how to do it, it just goes faster and I don't have to paint layer on layer on layer. I remember the first oil paintings I did, I had like 20, 30 layers on top of one another. And now maybe I'll have 2 or 3. So, all right, so imagining that we're actually here, and this is further in the background. So I would like to have some new stuff to make this, to get this further away and to create some more depth. But not too tall, because we don't want to obscure everything. So yeah, I can really heartily recommend glass painting, but do know that it's you have to be very patient while you're learning it, because it's just so different. I remember the first glasses I painted, I just completely destroyed. And yeah, if there are any suggestions, you're always welcome to make them, and I will see if I can incorporate them into the painting. Because if you're all here, you are very welcome to contribute. I can't promise I'll do everything. I got a suggestion yesterday of painting a Martian landscape, and that's not really on my radar yet, but he did then get his waterfall in. Have you ever made a 3-dimensional snowflake on glass? I think you'd do a great job with that as well. No, I haven't, but I really do want to do something like that. I have painted some snowflakes on glass, but not the way that I would like to. And yeah, that is actually on my horizon. I had quite forgotten that, but that was a plan for quite a while. I have a little snowflake here that Lena photographed. That's a print of her photo. And so I would really like to do something like that, but sure, on glass, of course, it can be more 3-dimensional. So that is a wonderful idea. But I think in order to dare to do that, I'm not sure if I'm going to invite people in until I know that I can at least kind of do it. There are a lot of things I would like to learn and that I would like to incorporate. For instance, I've done a bit of it, but not truly close up. So for instance, frost or water droplets would be really cool, because I think especially with the effect that the light comes here, you could paint water droplets on leaves, for instance, and it would look wonderful. Good evening all, Senpai says. I'm a bit later than usual. How are we all? You're very welcome here in the live stream, Senpai. Senpai is one of my regulars. I'm just going to call you guys that have been with me so loyally and for hours when I'm doing these live streams. I'm very pleasantly surprised that people actually take this amount of interest in what I do. And Janine already knows Senpai a bit and says hello. I very much encourage you all to talk to each other in this chat too, because I would like this to be an informal little space where we can just meet and share some ideas and talk about whatever. I think especially in these times, I've said that on other live streams, but I'll say it again here, that in these times where a lot of people are very alone, it's good to create these spaces where you can just talk for a bit and connect. And I'm noticing that myself. We are very much alone here, and we do like it like that, but it's nice to have the feeling that you're a part of something bigger and a part of the wider world. And so I'm actually getting a lot out of these live streams because it's just, it fills something that you can't really get a lot of these days, which is just this feeling of being connected. And Senpai says, nice to see you, to Janine, and that's wonderful. Let's connect a bit more. And especially, I think it's wonderful to connect around these kinds of very open and safe topics as nature and landscape painting. So I think, Senpai, you probably saw this. This is the candle that I painted on last time. I'm not sure if you were here for that part, but it's the candle with the waterfall. So we will get there soon. We're getting to the rhododendron. I remember, I think that Janine liked. And I'm still not entirely sure if we should do some flowers on the rhododendron. And Rahel is here. That's wonderful. I have gotten a lot of your pictures. And I think this weekend, I have a bit of time where I can study the different plants that you sent me. And hopefully I can start to incorporate them into these candles. Because I have gotten a lot of different plants from her, and I very much would like to learn some new ones. I remember BRV's interesting suggestion. Yes, that was BRV's suggestion to add the waterfall. And I think first there's going to be a birch, and then we'll get to the waterfall. And there is a reason I didn't start there, because I have no idea how I'm going to continue it, but hopefully it'll be good. And I think I'm going to treat this candle glass a bit as an experiment and just be open to different things. Janine is waving at Rahel. That's wonderful. I'm really, really happy about this this community here. Crossis says hello. So happy to catch the live again. You are very welcome to join us here again too. You are one of the regulars too. We're starting to get everyone together here. That is really wonderful. And the more you guys get to know one another, the more I'm going to be encouraged to continue these live streams. Because then I have to provide the space for you guys to meet, which is wonderful. And for those of you who have just joined, this is the candle from, it wasn't yesterday, was it? The day before yesterday that we painted on, and that contains the waterfall. Do you usually do lives at the same hour, Calix says? And no. Well, I am going to try to do them a bit in the evening, because that's when most people are on, and it's a good time for me to just lean into them. But I don't plan these live sessions really at all. So they're just going to appear randomly, and I apologize for the fact that you can't actually plan and have no idea when they're going to be there. And maybe at some point I'll be planning them a bit more, and I'll let you guys know. But at the moment, it's quite a spontaneous thing. So sometimes I do them in the afternoon, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening. But I think it'll probably usually be around... this late is probably later than I will usually do them, but it'll be somewhat in the evening. But I can't really promise that, because all of this is very new to me too. It's also good that you took a bit of a break from live streams yesterday. I don't think anyone wants you to get burnt out of doing the stream. Yeah, I actually did think about that. That even though it's a lot of fun, and I have to pace myself a bit. So that's true. And I waited for this new phone so that I could have a bit of a wider lens. This is the reason why we can now see a lot more around me, because this phone actually now gives me the opportunity to use a wider lens, and I'm really enjoying that. So I can show you guys I can have an environment to paint in, and I really like that. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure where these live streams are going to go. I just started them, and I'm just going to see how it goes. They've been very wonderful to do, and a lot more successful than I thought they were going to be. Especially with you guys creating such a nice environment. So here we have the rhododendron, and this is really where I have no idea if we should add some flowers or not. I mean, we did say this is going to be spring, and the quality is good. What kind of phone is it? It is actually, I usually really wouldn't buy the latest version of these things. I have usually used a phone that I gotten from someone else, and I've used it until it broke down. But since I hope to become a bit more professional with streams and photos and videos, this is an iPhone 12. Not the Pro one, because that was just wildly expensive. But so I upgraded the one that I had. I could just send it in and get a new one. And that means that the quality is quite a lot better. I like the fact the live stream is spontaneous. When I catch it, I feel so lucky I've appeared at the right time. Yeah, that is true. That actually does give it. That actually gives it a different feeling. That is very true. Maybe that's not such a bad thing then. And it's more of a nice surprise than something you then have to think, oh God, I don't want to miss it because I know it's at 5, but I'm not going to be there until 6 and so on. So if there are any suggestions as to the flower situation, I would be happy to take them. I think this candle has been somewhat of a collaborative effort anyway. And I am very happy to invite you guys to have opinions so that we can figure out how it should go. Yes, a nice surprise indeed. Yeah, that's really wonderful. That's a really good thought. So maybe we'll just continue it like that. That really makes it easier for me, so I don't actually have to think about anything. I can just spontaneously think, oh right, I'm going to invite you guys in, and then I can just turn it on. Because I do sit here quite a lot more than just these live streams. This being my full-time job, my only job. I think flowers under rhododendron would be nice. I had a suspicion that that might be the case. So then the question comes, what color? I've often done blue ones, but that's just because that's nice if you only do one color, but they should really be red, I think. Red or white? I think that will be the next question. We'll crowdsource it. And what do you guys think? Should they be red or white? Red. Yes, I agree. Let's do red then. I trust in yours and others' judgment. Well, that is always an easier way. Very good. All right. Red, Janine says. Then that's and and white. Well, that added a different. Well, if it should be white too, then maybe we should do another rhododendron next to it. We can just do. I think that probably the flowers I could do some this time, and then I could do the rest next time. So I can make a little rhododendron here too, and we'll have a white one next to the red one. Because of our flag. Is that Canada then? Or England? I think you told me if this is from. All right, I'll do a white one next to this one. Well, we'll start with the red one. And fine. We will do both. Denmark. Of course. Yeah. I can't always see who, because I'm painting and looking at it at the same time. You already told me about the fact that it was very similar, but there were no fjords. Denmark does have a red and white flag too. Sorry about that. All right, so we'll do a white one next to the red one. I'll just do some more highlighting the leaves a bit, but not too much, because if we're going to do the red color into it, and I think I would like to do the branches before we do the flowers. I don't feel at all in a position to give you ideas, which is quite uncommon for me, but I will just sit and enjoy the experience for now. You're very welcome to do that as well. That is very legitimate, and do not feel pressured into giving me suggestions. And now I think we have decided. So if there are any more colors, I think I will just ignore them because red and white is plenty. And I very much remember the rhododendron that I used to learn how to paint a rhododendron was actually my grandmother's. And she has red and white flower in her rhododendron. And so that's actually quite nice. Oh, I picked the yellow glass. Of the... let's see here. So I'm just gonna do some highlights to the branches so that it all stands out a bit more. And then I have some quite bright reds because what is going to happen is that it's probably going to look quite red when I paint them this time. And then I'm going to burn it in the kiln, and it'll almost, not completely, but it'll almost completely disappear. And it'll be very see-through, and I will have to paint on top of them again. Which means that this is not going to be the last time I'm still painting, but you guys are suggesting it's not going to be the last time I'm going to paint those flowers. I'm going to have to do them in a few layers. But they're probably, in the end, are going to look like they do now. It's just that I'm going to have to redo them once they've been burned. This is especially a problem if you paint on porcelain, because red will usually burn away. If you paint red on top of almost any other color, it just disappears, especially with the colors I used to use. I have some new ones now which work a bit better. But especially with the porcelain, different colors just burn each other away. And that does happen to a bit of an extent here too, so you just have to do them again and again until they stick. Alright, I'm desperately trying to remember what a rhododendron looks like. Let's see if I can. I seem to remember that they have something like 5 leaves, and they're a bit on top of each other, and they come in bunches. And I never look at photos while I am painting, only while I'm drawing. So if these don't look like rhododendron flowers, you just have to imagine them being something else. Anna says, watching this while writing, and it's quite relaxing. Kind of reminds me of Dream Valley times. Oh yes, we met each other in Dream Valley, Anna and I. And that is wonderful that you can write and use it in that way next to it. That's exactly how I wanted this to be, since these videos are so long. So I can't really imagine just being able to completely just focus on what I'm doing, but doing something else at the side. That is lovely. All right. I'm going to have to plop my hand in front here because I think I have to grab my hand in order for my other hand not to vibrate too much, because this is going to be very detailed, tiny work. And you won't necessarily be able to see all of the details, sadly, but I can get it even a bit closer. And we'll just have to see how much... all right. Trying to remember how they look. I don't think I've ever painted rhododendrons this small. Yeah, so they come in these bunches. I do remember that. I'm going to get very quiet now because I'm concentrating. Do remember that this is not going to be the last time I'm painting these. This is just going to be the outline. And then I'm going to paint on top of them, and I'm going to use some different, for instance, some darker reds and maybe some blacks, so that you can see the flower a bit better, see the contrasts and so on. And we want the flowers in different stages, so not all have to be completely open. And I mean, this one, for instance, I have already painted these flowers in a way that they would look in early spring. So we'll have to just sneak the flowers in, because this wasn't actually the plan while I did them. And I'm hoping I'm not taking the focus off it. It looks a bit unsharp. But I think you guys can get the general idea. I think if I actually put it a bit further away, maybe it's easier to see it. And yeah, I hope these look a bit like rhododendrons. I seem to remember them being in these clumps. Since the chat went completely quiet, I'm assuming that you guys are holding. They do. Wonderful. Thank you. That's a relief. I wasn't quite sure what the first comment was going to be. That is very much a relief. And I think this is one of the first times I've actually painted colorful flowers into... By the way, you can all call me Crussie. That's very good to know. I never really know how I'm going to pronounce your names, and usually if they're a bit long, I try to shorten them. And it's good to know what to call you. All right, I don't think we want to overfill this with the colors. I think we're all being quiet so you can concentrate. I appreciate that. You don't really have to be quiet, though. I can try to blend it out if I have to really concentrate. I love flowers. Yeah, me too. I really love flowers, and I've painted a lot of them. You just have to get more used to painting them into my paintings. And especially, I'm quite a conservative painter, so if I haven't done something before, it always takes me a while to start doing it. But once I've started doing it and I've gotten a handle on it, then they pop up everywhere. Janine says, I think you're right, to Senpai's commentary about being quiet so I can concentrate. Well, now I'm actually a bit more relaxed about this. It seems that I have somewhat remembered how they should look. But yeah, I've wanted to add flowers into my paintings, and especially into my candles for quite a while. The only thing I've been doing is to paint only flowers, or the contrasts of flowers, so just in black, but not the colors. This is just like the waterfall yesterday. The fact that you guys are suggesting things really does help, because then I'm just going to do it and see how it goes. Because doing something new is always a lot more work and very different than doing something you've done 1,000 times before. There we are. I think we have some red rhododendrons. Now let's do the white one. Let's do that next to the birch. And just have to wash out my brush. I'll just do the entire rhododendron plant first, and then add the white flowers in afterwards. This is a very much absolutely, it's a communal glass. That is very true. It's a wonderful way of doing it and painting. I'm not as stuck in my rut if I get suggestions from the outside. That's really nice. Have you ever done a stock rose? I haven't. I really love those. I know them from the garden from my grandmother. And I've been wanting to learn them for ages now. And since the flowers are so big, they would do wonderfully well in paintings. So that would be one of the next one. Hi Joachim, my name is Noemi and would like to thank you for these live streams. You inspired me to get back into painting. That is brilliant. Currently painting wildflowers using aquarelle. That is lovely. I am so glad that I could inspire you to start painting. That is wonderful. And that we're here now painting flowers at the same time is lovely. That's great. I'm always so happy when I hear things like that. And being able to inspire others is just it's just a gift. So thank you. That now was a mistake. Well, let's just use it as a base so we know that, okay, here we're going to have them. No. It's just the wrong way. I think I'm going to do the branches first. So I have the general outline. What is aquarelle? It's watercolor, if I'm not mistaken. Aquarelle is just a different word for watercolor. Aqua is water. Let's see here. Okay, so now I have to remember the way that they grow, and it's not doesn't have to be too big, this one. I think this is the same way that I remember the one with my grandmother's house. That's a small white one next to the red one. And if I am not butchering my Danish flag, red should actually be the main color. Senpai says, I don't usually say my real name, but I know a lot of other people's names on these streams. My name is Jack, but people can call me Senpai as well. It's hard to break habits sometimes. Well, hi Jack. I think I am going to keep calling you Senpai because that is how I got to know you on these streams. And so for me, you are Senpai. It's always very difficult to break with something when you started. I have tried with Lena and me, we have tried to speak some English, but since we spoke German first, it's just proved quite impossible. Not butchering from me. No butchering from me. Colors of the rainbow. Oh, I have barely experimented with watercolors, but I love them. Yeah, me too. I haven't really done watercolors at all, but it's something I would love to try. Krasi says, hi Jack. Alright, so... Okay, I think we have most of the main parts of how this is going to be here. And then if you have white here, I think that's going to look nice. Alright, let's get the leaves. Senpai says hello to Krasi. I'm so glad that these live streams are communal in this way and that you all, guys are all getting to know one another. I am so happy that that's happening. Alright, let's get the leaves done here. I'll just move it a bit so that I have some more access. And now, of course, since I know that there are going to be flowers here, I can just prepare the base instead of actually putting the bulbs in as I did last time. And the problem with white, even more so than red, is that that's really going to go into the background after it's burned. So since we now have white flowers here too, I really do have to paint quite a few more times on this, but I think that's going to be a good thing. How long does it take a candle take you to paint on average? How long does it take me to paint a candle? Oh, that is very difficult to say. So if you mean from beginning to end, well, so let's try to see. Every candle takes me at least, an average, I would say 5 layers. So what you're seeing me do now here is 1 layer, and then it has to be burned, and then I can start after the next day. But the first one goes really fast, and the last one can take an hour or more. So I think a few hours from beginning to end. So I think about the quickest speed is that I can paint like 3 candles a day. But if I paint 3 candles a day, I will still be painting on at least 1 layer on 16 candles or something, in order for it in the end to be that rate of production. I was honestly putting my daughter to sleep when I got a notification about the live stream. My husband just came in to check if I was alive. Well, I appreciate that you enjoy it enough to get completely distracted and forget about what you were supposed to do. I also don't usually say my name, but my name is Emuna. It means faith in Hebrew. That is lovely. And welcome and hi to you too. Yeah, I think this is quite a secure space for names and so on. Krasi says, Twinology, I totally understand you. Hi, Emuna, Janine says. All right, so I think we have the first layer of the leaves. Hello, Amuna. I love your name, Krasi says. That is great. That is wonderful. That this community here. Krasi, China says, Krasi, it seems you just enjoy watching this and everything else becomes insignificant. that is really the highest praise. Thank you for that. All right, white flowers now. Now it's going to be really difficult to get the white flowers to stick out on top of the birch, but after a while, somehow we'll get it to stick out. Rachel says, "Hello, Emuna, beautiful name." And Senpai says, "Emuna is way more interesting than Jack." I am sure that Jack has a fascinating history behind it. I think all names originally had some meaning. I know that Joachim, my name, has some kind. I am not particularly Christian, but it's from a Christian tradition, and it does have a meaning too, even though it's been lost to the ages. Wow, a lot of hard work. I really appreciate it. Really, I hope you guys know how amazing you are, you and your girlfriend. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. It is quite a lot of work. Krasi says, "Enjoying watching Joachim paint indeed. His voice is so nice too. Thank you." Thank you. That's very, very nice to hear and gives me courage to keep going. Thanks. You guys are so sweet. Colors of the Rainbow says. Yeah, I think so too. I think that's wonderful that we have a sweet, lovely, and kind channel. I think that is so good and so important. In a lot of in the internet can be, and I mean in the world, can be quite harsh, and so I think it's nice to have these kinds of spaces. I'm just Michael, Cute Animal Stone says. Then you can decide, Cute Animal Stones, if I should keep calling you Cute Animal Stones or Michael. And if I'm even pronouncing that right. It is easier to say than Cute Animal Stones, but let's see here. Yeah, I think maybe that's maybe we want a bit more white, so we'll just plop some white flowers in here and over here, and we'll join them up with the rest afterwards. But I think we have the rhododendrons. Up to you. All right, let's see what comes most naturally. I might forget your name, I'm sad to say, if I don't say it enough. But Michael is a bit easier. I wish I could hop on this my real name is, although I could have Joachim say Löje, which is the last name many outside Scandinavia can't say. Löje works very well, and the others can try to write that if they find it on their on their screens. Janine Mavis claps her hands. Very high. Thank you. All right, let's get the bark on the birch. So I'm going to do some shadows on the birch too, but that has to wait for next time because I can't do both, and I really want the bark to be finished here. Colors of the Rainbow says, "My name is pretty easy to pronounce, I think, although people usually don't get it at first. It's pronounced Himona. Himona. I think that's right. Or Imuna. Emuna? Let us see. Joachim is actually a lot more difficult for English people to pronounce than I realized until I went to Australia. And people kept calling me Joachim. My parents thought they gave me a very international name, but forgot about English, because it worked very well in German and in Norwegian. But in English, I've heard a lot of interesting pronunciation of Joachim. Hello, Löje. Sorry, Löje. Right, I don't have the special symbol. Löje is alright to pronounce if you know how the letter sounds. Yes, that's true. Yeah, the second one, says Colors of the Rainbow. It says Emuna. Now it's going to be very confusing for me to remember, Ariel, your actual names. You're going to have to repeat them because I can only see your names there. Trina says, Krasi, maybe you do. Hold down the O, maybe it'll show up. Yes, it probably will. You'll have that Let's see here. This is, as I've often said before, one of the reasons why I often don't paint birches, because it's a lot of work, but I do love them. Where are you all from? Cute Animal Stones asks. Michael asks, funny pronunciation of your name, Joachim. Yeah, lots of different ones. Yes, that's right. Most people don't get it that fast. Thank you. Emuna says, well, I think it's because most North American people pronounce the J and Scandinavian says it like yeah, why? Yeah, that's very true. That is the difficulty. And so it becomes rather butchered, and eventually you just have to let them call you what they want. Maybe I should write it down for new people. Yeah, sometimes it is easier to see it once it's spelled. I'm from Portugal, living in the UK, Calix Topi says. Yeah, it'd be wonderful to hear where you're all from. I think we're a very international bunch here, and I always loved in international feel. That's why I left Norway as fast as I could when I was finished with high school. I found it very nice. I'm from Munich, Germany, Leah says. Laura. Yes, hi, Leah. I only know because my mother is Swedish. Calix, by the way, my name is Pi. Envy20 is from the Netherlands. Rahel is from Germany, living in the Azores. Julia is from Ukraine. Krasi is from Bulgaria. This is great. This is incredibly international. That's wonderful. Michael is from the Netherlands. I'm assuming that everyone knows that I'm from Norway, and maybe quite a few people don't know that I am half German. Rob in the Hood is from South Africa. I've already covered quite a few places now. All right, I think that's the bark done. And now we are at the waterfall. So let's see what happens here. Oh, I am very forgetful. We live, forgive me. I would not remember all of this. We're live, right? Janine is from Canada. Senpai says, it's almost a bit sad as I feel a lot of British people are ignorant on how letters are pronounced differently in different places. Well, English is such a dominant language that is, I think, kind of understandable. I'm from Wales, which a lot of people might not know is not actually England, and has quite different ways of saying things too. Krasi, I lived in the Bulgarian mountains in a ranch working with horses. Wonderful. I loved it and love Bulgaria. Dober done. All right, those are all the different ways of saying hi, I think, in different Slavic languages. Okay, let's see if we can... this is the problem with having to paint all of these different things. I will manage it, but I have to try to not disturb the different places. Alright, so the most important thing now is to paint quite dark things around the waterfall so that we can so that the water sparkles a bit more and we get that contrast. Oh, Dobaden, amazing, Krasi says. Colors of the Rainbow. I never know whether to say or Emuna, to say America or Canada or Israel because I have lived in all three and I am a citizen of all three. Wow. I always thought I had a lot of passports with 2, but 3 then knocks me right out of the park. Oh, this live. I have a smile on my face and can't take it off. That's wonderful. Yeah, I am so happy that that's how this is going. That's brilliant. Oh wow, 3 citizenships. Well done. And not many have that. No, indeed. A lot of places don't allow it, but I think those countries are probably one of those that do. I'm not actually allowed to have my 2, but as long as the state doesn't know, that can't hurt them. Senpai says, thank you. In Welsh we use some letters with symbols such as, I have no idea how to pronounce these, but not many other variations. Right, yeah, the letters often to denote different ways of saying these different phonemes, these different sounds. Alright, let's see here. Let this waterfall. I am going to sleep. See you all next time. Good night, Michael. Senpai. Cute animal stones, I mean. I think I'm going to call you, most of you, then by the name. Cute animal stones. Michael, I'm pretty sure. Good night, and we'll see you next time. It was good to have you here. I love the waterfall, Cressy says. Thank you. Colors of the rainbow. Plus, I am only a teen. I hope to travel the world when I'm older, especially the Netherlands and Sweden and Finland. Yeah, and the Nordic countries too. I hope you get to visit a lot of places all over the world. Trina says, good night, I'm assuming. And Janine says, good night to cute animal stones. Sleep well. Cressy says bye too. Cute animal stone says thanks. And it's always wonderful to have you here, Animal Stones. And I am looking forward to seeing you here next time too. Or the next time that you have time to visit one of my streams. Rahel says, good night, Michael. And has obviously remembered the name. Very good. Alright, this waterfall really has to be done in a lot of stages. So I'm going to do white on top of it again. And we'll see how it looks. I can't really put any... Well, I can put some stones into it after I've done the white. And then I think we can do some reflections, but that has to wait too. This is one of the reasons why I often shy away from putting water and anything into my paintings, the glass paintings, because it's not such an easy thing to do, but I have to get used to it anyway. Aurora just joined and says koselig, which means cozy in Norwegian. Aurora I know from a very long time ago, and we have kept in contact. She is from Norway. Colors of the... So welcome. Velkommen, Aurora. Veldig hyggelig å ha deg her. Colors of the Rainbow says, yes, I don't want this live to end. Hope you have it every day. It feels good to even virtually speak with people that are out of the box like you. Yeah, I like that feel here, and that's exactly what I would like. I think it does have to end at some point. I think it's getting quite late here, but we can keep it going for a while, and you can try to get this water going here. So as I said, this is going to have to be done in lots and lots of stages. But I think once I've done this one, the thing is, when you paint on glass, even the white, it won't actually make it stand out more. It'll actually go darker often. So we'll just have to do it in stages and see how it goes. And then the contrast can be added afterwards and some of the reflection too. Good night, sweet dreams to you. Assuming you're talking to cute animal stones, unless I am very much mistaken. Yeah, it's good to have a place where you can just chat and not do with people that are more like-minded. Or not. I mean, this can be a very open place, I think. Welsh has a lot of rules to remember and a few extra letters in the alphabet, but it's alright. It's 22:15, so 11:15 in Norway. Yeah, that should be right. Alright, that's good to know. I should probably go to bed soon, but there is no rush. And maybe we'll even have time for one more. We'll have to see. Elena has quite a bit to do too, because we'll see if she when it's going to be finished, and it's not sure that we're going to release it this weekend, but we're hoping to do a new little opening with a new video of hers, and some of these candles are going to show up in the shop. Not this one, because it's going to take me too long to finish. But a few more candles that you've seen in the stream are going to show up in the store this weekend, if that's when we're going to have an opening. Yeah, you should be right there, Senpai. Imuna, Colors of the Rainbow, says, it's actually past midnight here, but I have trouble sleeping. Well, I hope that this is calming enough that could actually be helpful. Krasi says, I'm so happy for you, Joachim, that you have come to the point to do what you love and live the way you do. I'm so happy that you and Lena managed to do it. Wish you so much joy and happiness for it. That is so kind of you. Yeah, I am so happy and keep having to remind myself that this is actually happening and I can actually do this for a living and that this is my job. It's just really wonderful. And I can sit here and I can chat with you guys and paint. And this is actually what I have to do. I always wanted to have to do the thing that I love to do. Thanks for sharing it all. So many people like me can be happy with you too. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful of you to say. And it's really been lovely to share it in this way. Janine says it's just after 14:20 here, and I'm painting and I'm listening. That's good. Are you painting too? That is wonderful. Yeah, just creating a little space and talking about different topics. And yeah, it's just a joy. I think this one might make it onto YouTube too. And I'll put it onto Instagram Live anyway. Instagram TV anyway, so that you can always watch it again if you wish. So the chat isn't going to be there, but that's the reason why I repeat everything that is said in the chat. So that if you're listening to it later, or even, I'm assuming that some people are going to listen to this and haven't been a part of the chat, so that you can know what went on. And that's the reason why I do that, because if I didn't tell you what was going on, it's just going to be incredibly disjointed when you can't read the chat. Because the chat isn't going to be part that's not saved. I agree, Krasi. Thank you, Imuna. I'm so glad that you guys are enjoying this. And the chat really seems to be a big part of it, because I remember when I was just painting, it lacked something. 20 past midnight here too, but I'm an owl person, so I wake up at this time. Very good. All right, then this is perfect. Senpai, I was wondering the reason for repeating messages. Yeah, because you guys can obviously read it, so it wouldn't be necessary if the chat was there. But that means that you can actually listen to it without having to look at it anyway, so that's a bonus as well. Trina says, you should make ultra short montages on the stages when painting and make it into a multi-jump cut video for YouTube. That would be awesome. Do you mean a time-lapse thing? Because I could do things like that. I've been thinking about how to do this, what to do with these videos once they're done. And Muna says, 20 past midnight here too. You guys must be on the same longitude at least. I'm an owl person too, Julia says. Yeah, that's I often loved that, just staying up. And the wonderful thing when it's nighttime and it's getting later is that you can just feel like you're much more alone in the world, and you can just dive into these other worlds, and you don't have to feel like you have to be anywhere else. I always loved then late night. I often painted long into the night for exactly that reason, because that's the time when I could really concentrate. Yes, Trina says, Calix, I'm an early bird, but I just don't want to turn it off. Colin has lots of wonderful emojis. All right, I think we actually went around this once. Which means that since you've all are so kind and really like this live stream, that we are going to do another glass. I love how well you pronounce my name, Emuna says. That's very good, that I can do that properly. Alright, so the question now becomes, what kind of a painting? And I think I had a few glasses in my oven. Oh, everything just fell down here. But that means I can take it out and I can bring you guys along. And that candle that you just heard survived. So here I have my oven, and I have a candle glass that I just burned, and we'll take that with us. And that needs a layer of snow, and I think that might be nice. That was really hot. And I think that could be nice, so I have to add a layer of snow on top of it. Don't drop a snow. I will plop you all very safely back into the little tripod that I have standing here. Just thought I'd show where they're from and the kiln ones. And we'll see if we can move this into the... No, that was not supposed to happen at all. All right, let's see. All right, let's see if we can get this right. And we'll blow this out. And here, I'll show you once before I'll take it away. So this looks incredibly different than it's supposed to once it's burned. So all of this is dried. And it looked like the way it's going to look once it's burned when the candle was on. But now that the candle is off, it looks incredibly different. That's just how these things go. That's the reason why I can't continue painting once it's dry too. Don't let the tripod drive. Laughing so... Yes, I know. Well, that's what happens if you do things live. But that's one of the chaotic joys of doing this. Very nice. Just missing Saturn, BRW. Yes, I'm glad. And you saw the at least the finishing touches on your waterfall there. It's going to be a lot better afterwards. Emuna says, because I know it gets very cold over there, Joachim, I was just wondering how hot it gets in the summertime. Well, it gets very warm indeed. We have almost 30 degrees some days. So, well, I think the answer is not very. But it gets, I think, warmer than you'd think. So, it can actually get kind of warm. But I mean, if you're from the United States and in Israel and so on, of course it's cold. Senpai says, where did you get that case? It looks very nice, the case. That was Lena's present to me. She gave it to me. She got it off Etsy and she spent quite a lot of time looking for it and gave it to me as a present because she knew that I needed one. I really love it. I use it for painting outside too. Janine says, enjoying the painting in the background. Yeah, that's an oil painting. I'll probably be taking you with me when I continue painting that. Because I think that could be nice for a live stream. Yeah, I thought I needed to have the setting here. But of course now you can't really see it. But anyway. Trina says, how much of the Norwegian forest area is wild forest? How much forested area here is organized forest? So all trees are in line. Yeah, and that is a lovely gift, somebody says. Yeah, it really was. Yeah, that is actually a big topic. So I think, sadly, it's like 2% of all growth forests are left, and everything else has been cut down at some point. It's not close to as bad as it is in Denmark. The case here that I used to paint on. You can't see much of it, but it's this. So a lot of the trees, all of them have been chopped down at some point, and a lot of them, they don't chop down everything at once anymore, so at least that's better. But the forests are not intact at all, and there is a lot of forestry going on. So if you drive through here, it really does look wild, but it's not even close to as wild as you'd think. Do you try to be eco-friendly? Have you ever tried with your art? So that I'm not entirely sure what you mean. We do try to be eco-friendly, and in my art I very much try to show untouched wilderness. I have to leave you guys. It was lovely to spend time with you. Thank you. Well, goodbye, Rahel, and I'll see you later. Thank you for the photos, and I hope to see you soon. Have a lovely night, sweet dreams, and yeah, I'll see you soon. And Trina says bye, Krasi says bye, Janine says bye, Julia says bye. That's great. And this isn't really going to show up very much, so you guys have to tell me if this is even interesting to watch, because a lot of this is not going to show up as much as I thought it would. But maybe it will to a certain extent. So snow painting might not be... Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Because the only thing I really have to do here is to add a layer of snow. So no detail work whatsoever. Except for the fact that I have to put a lot of dots here everywhere. Rahel gives us all a wonderful little wavy smiley with a heart. And we will see you soon and have a wonderful, well, day, evening, night, sleep. You can definitely see it, Janine says. Okay, very good. That is good, because I do actually think I have to paint on this, because I would like to have it finished for the weekend. I only have one more time to burn them. It's still very calming to watch, I think, Leah says. All right, then, that's good. And I think that's the main thing now, especially if it's this late. I mean, biodegradable paints, acrylic, for example, is actually petroleum. Yes, that is true. I know what you mean. So, for instance, well, it's not going to be biodegradable in the sense that when I wash it out, yeah, that is a problem. So I try, for instance, in my porcelain painting and in my glass painting, I had to buy colors from England so that I could get paint that didn't have lead in them, which a lot of them do. For oil, you can use some water-based colors, but a lot of the colors are still not great. So I can't just plop them in the sink or throw them away quite easily. So that is still a bit of a problem. So I'll have to figure out how to get better colors, actually. And a lot of the colors are, to a certain extent, toxic. It really has to do with the fact that a lot of the things that are better for you don't look that great. So it's a work in progress. Krasi says, you can say hi to Lena too, and thank you for telling us about you. I will. I absolutely will. She is working on the next video right now, and I will tell her that. She will be glad, and yeah, I am really glad that she got you all here. Well, at least a lot of you are probably from Lena's channel. And yeah, I am so glad that our worlds have merged in this way. So for the oils, for the biodegradable again, actually at least some things are better. So I don't use turpentine here for the paint. I actually mostly use lavender oil for the thinner. Although my thicker fluid, I am not entirely sure. So lavender oil is quite alright. Muna says, I found a great looking company. I haven't tried it yet. Yeah, sure, share. Asks if I would like her to share. And please do. I'm always looking for new places to buy paint. And I would like it to be more sustainable. Absolutely. It would be wonderful too if I can write it down here. But because this chat isn't going to be saved, so if you would like to send me a direct message, that would be great too. Yeah, it would be nice, especially the fact that I spend so much time painting actually means that I have to be quite careful about the paints that I use, because a lot of it is harmful, and it's not that bad if you're just spending it in the hobby-wise and you're spending a few hours a month or a week on it. But if you're working with it in the way that I do, even just a bit harmful can be really bad after a few years. Can I demil it to you? Absolutely, please do. Beetroot juice stains everything. Yeah, well, I'm not sure how well it would merge with my glass painting, though, to be honest. But I am sure that some more organic paints can absolutely be used. Okay, Imuna says, yes, please do send it to me in a email. That would be wonderful. So the trees, for instance, well, if it's relaxing, I am glad to to share this with you guys too. It's just I'm not sure if this is terribly interesting. I could do a different class. I follow Yona Yintan. She has experimented with making her own paint. Have you ever tried making your own paints? No, I haven't. That would be very interesting. I think I would have to set aside quite a bit of time for it, of course. And that would have to be a project for later. And yeah, that would be wonderful to do. I know that she does quite a bit more abstract work than I do. And so I think she's a bit freer there in the sense that I really do need quite a lot of my paints to look in certain ways and behave in certain ways. And you can't make your own paints very well for glass and porcelain painting. But, well, saying that, I don't actually know, so I would have to look it up. I am glad you're conscious. That is that you're have a conscience that you're that is very good to it. It is very important. Yes, it is incredibly important. My grandfather was a hobby landscape painter, and he got incredibly allergic to turpentine at some point. And yeah, these things are not good for you. And I'm very happy that I could stop with the lead paint because that is just awful. I don't know how large forested areas you live in, but I assume you both have a GPS locator. So we live in Hemsedal. So it's the thing about Norway is that it is very forested, but the main parts, especially in the mountains, it's actually highlands where there are no trees. And the forested valleys are heavily logged. So you'll see spots that are logged through it everywhere. I don't have an email, but I said DM, as in direct messaging. Yes, that is exactly what I meant. If I said something else, I apologize. No, I mean direct messaging in Instagram. That would be brilliant. This, I really think this is kind of boring. I'm going to find a different glass that has a bit more interest to it. I'm just not entirely sure which one. So I have this one, and I wanted to make a foreground to it. But I am very, very unsure right now. Or I have this one where we could just put in quite a lot more plants. That might be a good idea. Let's see if I can get the candle in without burning myself. Because these plants can all then be in the background, and we can use the shadow here as the base. It's up to you, but I enjoy the boring bits. It's all part of the painting process. Yeah, that's true. I'll have to see. Maybe next time I will have a bit more patience, and it's okay to just do some boring work. How about a foggy forest near a lake early in the morning scene? Give me a chance to think if I have anything that were like that. A foggy forest near a lake early in the morning. I have so many. I will take you with me and show you. If I can just get all of these this paper away, that could be more sustainable too, but I haven't found a better way of doing it. So these are all the different glasses that I am painting on right now. They're all works in progress. And the question is if we, well, I think maybe I have something like that. So this, here we have a little lake, and I'm sure there could be some house tour, absolutely. And there's a lake here, and there is forest, and we could do some fog into it. And I have learned now that BRW suggestions we follow. So let's use that suggestion and see what we can do. So here I removed the paint on the bottom so that it would shine through. Which means that the lake will then actually get the reflection from the sun. And if we get the camera a bit further up, we can get the sun a bit more in the right position too. the candle, this candle sun that is, and we'll get the reflections. So I think the fog sadly has to come later, but just imagine that the next layer is going to be a fog, and so now the thing will be just to paint this layer out so it's more, so we can see it better, and paint some waves. You can actually start with some little waves in the water. That's a nice glass, very cool, wonderful, that is magical. Okay, I'm going to take those comments as encouragement to do this glass. Senpai says, except perhaps the Mars landscape. Yes, BRW did suggest a Martian landscape, until Joachim has seen it in depth and in person. Well, there are projects now of getting to Mars, and at some point maybe we will get to do it. Janine gives wonderful emojis here that are very encouraging, and Emuna has emailed me. That's very good. I can't check it now, but I will check it as soon as this live stream is over. Messaged, yes, very good. All right, so we have this here now, and so there are quite a few different things to do. Let's see how this looks. So I've already painted in some of the shadows, some of the reflections, and now we can do some waves in the other direction to get that feeling that there's actually water here. And I think we'll do some soft waves, so it can be quite a still water, but still some movements, and that often becomes makes it a lot clearer that there's actually water going on here. And then the reflection can just be the waves. I have to leave, guys. Trina says, my husband is threatening divorce. Jokes, but I do have to go. Good night, all. Hope to catch you in the next live. I hope you do too, and have a wonderful night. And I hope your husband can forgive me for keeping you for so long. It was wonderful to have you here, and I hope you sleep well, and that you get to catch the next live stream. Mona says good night. Leah says good night. BRW says also a scene showing the end of a storm with a rainbow. Well, I think we will have to do that on an oil painting first. But as I have said before, I do want to start painting more weather. So that is not a bad suggestion. And a rainbow is, although it's incredibly difficult to paint a rainbow without it looking incredibly kitschy, it is possible, and I have seen Caspar David Friedrich for one paint a wonderful rainbow, and it should be possible. Julia says good night, Chrissy says good night, Janine says good night, Trina says good night. That's wonderful. Senpai says, I best get some sleep as well. Nosta Hulfar. That must be Welsh. Good night to you. Leah says, what about Northern Lights? Oh yes, I definitely want to paint the Northern Lights. The thing about the Northern Lights is that they are actually neon colored. So I have tried to paint the Northern Lights sometimes with glow-in-the-dark paints, but I can't really do that on a proper traditional painting. So I have to figure out how to do it. But I think once we live a bit further north and a place where we have a little bit less light pollution, that would be a lot better. So I think that's going to be one of the main obstacles, is that I have to see it a bit more and experience it, but I would definitely love to paint the lights. The Northern Lights sound very difficult too. Yes, they are. I have practiced a bit. And you really have to get that movement and to somehow get it to look like that neon color, which is incredibly difficult. Because a neon color is just a different kind of color, and you can't do that with any of the colors that I have. Cressy says, good night, Jack. Was it Jack? Yes. DP Moore says, cumulomnibus. So you mean the different clouds? There are the cumulus clouds maybe for the storm. Let's see here. So now to get it all a bit more, get the contrasts out a bit more, and the trees. So I think I should probably, no, I think the shadows here are quite right. I mean, if we imagine that there's a bit of movement in the water, The reflection don't have to be too bright. And I actually think that it's time for me to sleep now too, although I could really keep this going for a lot of hours still. I think we won't go all around the glass. I will paint this part a little bit further. And then this glass could be the one that we continue in the next live stream. So I can do the way that very mean TV shows often do, that you end on a cliffhanger. But yet there are so many wonderful things to paint, so many things to learn. But that storm that BRW talked about is probably something that is one of the things that I'm going to do very soon, but I would like to experience a storm first. Do you not feel lonely when you paint alone? Well, not now, but that's probably not what you mean. Alone? No, I don't feel lonely when I paint alone. I just feel it's very tranquil. It's wonderful. I don't actually need that many people around me. No is the answer. But this is wonderful anyway, so that it's good to not always be alone. All of this lowers the blood pressure, says PRW. That is very good to hear, that I can be a part of doing that and lowering everyone. By the way, yes, Julia says, I need to teach my class online tomorrow morning, but Artside is longing for such my art. Hopefully I will survive tomorrow morning. I will actually go to bed very soon, and so you can too. Any videos from Lena soon? And the white dog, Ivy. Yes, maybe this weekend, we will see. But she is working on the next video. You can. I think it's going to be a wonderful one. BRW, Crossy says, right. Emuna, oh yes, the rainbow. The storm with the rainbow sounds amazing. Yeah, I think so too. The rainbow is going to be very interesting. But I think actually a rainbow, even on a glass, could look pretty cool. Because you could see through the rainbow, and you can get a pretty accurate picture of it. Painting alone, Janine says, is heaven for me. Yeah, it really is. It is wonderful. Because you can just completely lose yourself in the process. And if you're in a flow, you don't feel alone. So yeah, I should probably release you guys as well. Except for the night owls, obviously, which are probably going to be awake for a lot longer anyway. But I think this stream has actually been going on for a lot longer than I intended. Because it was just so nice to have you all here. And it's very much made me reluctant to stop. I was a bit nervous, to be honest, to do a live stream again, even though I'm starting to get more used to them. But this has been absolutely wonderful. But I think I am going to leave it there. I'm enjoying so much the fact that you paint, and at the same time, you're such a good company and talk so well. Yeah, that's very good to hear, and I'm very happy that you think so. And now I am going to wash my brushes and give you all the chance to say goodnight to me and to each other. And yeah, I don't want to end it too quickly, so I'm just going to wash my brushes here. I can take you with me for that. So these are my brushes, and I just have to clean them. Thank you, Joachim, again. For me, it's difficult to get out of my head and enjoy. I get that. Muna says, yeah, it's practice too, and something to get used to, I think. Thank you, Joachim, again. Always so fun. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for the company. Thank you too. And I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you so much, Cressy says. Let's see here. This is so important. I keep ruining just an enormous amount of brushes if I don't do this. Leah says, good night, everyone, and thank you so much, Joachim, for sharing. You're very welcome. Emuna says, thank you. Good night to you too. And a butterfly and a heart emoji to everyone. Amazing time here. I feel lucky indeed. BRW says, have a good night. Have a very good night, you too. And thank you for all the suggestions. Please do keep coming with them. And they have really enriched the candle glasses and the time here. So I'm very happy about those. And we're going to get to that rainbow. Maybe I'll even dare to do it live. Good night, everyone. Janine says. Percy says, have a good night. And I hear Ivy barking outside. Lena is just letting him out. And that means it really is night time. And here it's difficult to remember each one of these brushes, but I think I've gone through most of them now. Okay, Joachim, I'm gonna go to sleep now. Good night, guys. Good night, Julia. This has been incredibly enjoyable. And it's actually getting more enjoyable every time because more people join and the regulars keep coming back and you guys are starting to know each other. So I think this can only grow. And I think we are through. What time is it for you? Well, I don't... Oh, yeah, there I actually have a clock. It's 11:45 now, which means it is time to go. All right, let us blow out the candle. And put that aside. And good night, everyone. There. Ivy says good night too.